Welcome back to the Debater with Seema on MTV Sports. We're done with the opening statements. We're ready to move into the face-off round, giving an opportunity for both the teams to directly quiz their opponents and to put their statistics and policies to the test. Opposition, proposition, the floor is now yours.
The United Nations must rationally adapt itself to new world realities, and it should strengthen its influence and preserve its multinational nature and integrity of the United Nations Charter. And the reform of the United Nations Security Council is an essential component of its revitalization. Dmitry Medvedev at the 64th General Assembly meeting. Ladies and gentlemen, today our topic at hand is the number of permanent members in the United Nations Security Council should be increased. We, as the proposing team, we have brought out our case statement, whereas we believe that the democracy should be more increased, and also the economic compatibility of these nations, which has increased throughout the time, should be taken into consideration, which is why we are saying that the permanent members of the United Nations Security Council should be increased. We would like to drag our attention towards the United Nations Charter itself, the Chapter 5 and the Article 23, Para number 1, which states which highlights the equitable geographical distribution, which we believe at the moment is not there. Ladies and gentlemen, at the moment there are 5 veto nations: USA, UK, China, France, and United Kingdom. So we believe that most of these nations are westernized, and where there is a lot of population, like the Asian continent, is not being properly represented. The only Asian nation which has a veto power at the moment is China, ladies and gentlemen, and that is why we believe it should be increased, because we believe democracy is representation. So we believe that the Asian continent is not being properly represented by the veto nation. And also, ladies and gentlemen, we would like to remind the fact that the Security Council, yes ma'am?
Why do you think that Asian continents are not represented in the UNSC?
Ma'am, it is obvious that the Asian countries are not properly represented at the United Nations Security Council, whereas there's only one veto power, which is China at the moment. So we believe that it is important and it is essential to give another veto power at least, whereas there are viable nations such as India, which is being approved by all other 5 permanent members to be appointed as a veto power nation. So this brings us more comfort on appointing the veto power nations. And also we believe that there are nations, continents such as Africa, which is not being represented at all, and also South America, which is not being represented at all. And also, ladies and gentlemen, we should look at the contribution made by all these countries, and also the population. Brazil, who has a very large population, is also a viable solution. It's a viable competitor for the veto nation. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, my dear brother said that India should be included in the UNSC, but I do not agree with this, because we know that India maintains the world's 3rd largest active armed force and is a nuclear weapon state. We know that. Yes, sir.
Ma'am, do you not believe that since India is a nation with nuclear arsenals, that they should be given a veto power, so that the United Nations will be responsible for their actions? If not, they'll be acting on their own will.
Yes, India being a nuclear weapon state, we do not agree with this, because they can cause a lot of danger to the country. And we know LTTE, I drag this thing again to this thing, because LTTE, being such a ruthless terrorist group, was formed by India. They were trained in Israel, a country who helped Russia and China. These Indians helped LTTE to grow up. They were formed by the Indians, and they were brought back to Sri Lanka to attack the Sri Lankans. And my brother was keep on telling that India should be included in this, but according to my view, they should not be included in this, because especially when the number of the seats of the UNSC increase, the veto power increases with itself, and we know that veto is used as an economic and power display tool in the political arena. So with this, they can fulfill all their political aspects, and we know veto issues is believed to be the reason for the massive failure of UNSC. after the failure of UNSC, why do they need to raise this veto power? By adding more and more countries to this UNSC, the veto power will increase with it as well. And you all were talking about Brazil and Germany. I can remember you all were talking about Germany. Germany cannot be taken into this because they, according to Hitler's autobiography, which is known as Mein Kampf, they say that they are the best country in the whole world. With this intention, they cannot be entered into the UNSC
on that
because.
Point, ma'am, Hitler was a person which was who lived 60 years ago, and now they have changed a lot. Do you realize this?
Yeah, but still they work according to Hitler's opinion. Even though Hitler was long time back, still they work according to Hitler's ideas. That's the main problem here. Germany, India, Japan, Brazil, these countries cannot be included. Especially these countries cannot be included in the UNSC. Because if these countries are included, there will be a lot of problem in the UNSC.
A point, ma'am?
Yes.
Ma'am, do you not, as you stated, there are some recent failures in the United Nations Security Council. Do you not believe that by increasing the veto power and by precisely preserving all the interest of all continents, that these flaws could be minimized?
No, I don't agree with that, because with these 5 veto powers, nothing has been done. And the more and more the veto power increases, the more and more the veto power increases, the more and more there will be more problems. Yes.
Ma'am, have you heard of the Cuban Missile Crisis?
No.
Ma'am, it was in back in 1946 where there was this Cuban Missile Crisis, and the veto powers effectively used to stop this nuclear war, which was supposed to be a nuclear war, a massive destruction, a war of massive destruction, and also the Vietnamese war, which is also prevented by the means of the United Nations Security Council.
Sit down. Yes, this veto power is a very dangerous power. According to my view, it is a very dangerous power, because we know this power in this UNSC is nothing to any of the countries. They say that they keep peace all over the world, but no peace is being done to any of the countries.
Learned members of the panel, now I will be bringing to the House several major clash points that our side has seen in this debate as to what the opposing side have brought out today. Now, one of their main reasons not to have these countries in the veto powers or in the permanent seats of the Security Council was because Japan was destroyed by in the World War, and that they attacked Pearl Harbor, and that Germany was the bad people in the war because they were ruled by Hitler, and that India trained the LTTE. Now, about the India training the LTTE point, that is completely an ideology, one side of an ideology, so therefore we cannot really accuse India of all of that. And also about Hitler ruling Germany and Germany being a bad country in that way is also not a valid point, because Germany is now a democracy, and at that time Hitler was the dictator of Germany. This happened long time ago, and Germany has understood that it was wrong. The whole world understands that Hitler was a bad person and what he did was wrong. So we do not believe that Germany is a bad country just because Hitler ruled it. That is not democracy, that is not diplomacy, and therefore we do not understand why Germany should not be given a seat in the Security Council, because Germany is a rising economic power and a military power in the world, just like the P5 countries. That was our main reason of bringing in these countries, because in 1945, when the UN was, when the United Security Council was founded by these P5 countries, these countries, their main reason was that they were capable of providing security and peace to the world because of their economy and because of their military power. Now we see that the world has changed today, the economy has changed today, and therefore these countries are also key players in the world now. India, Brazil, Japan and Germany are also economic powers, also military powers. They are also as capable as the P5 in providing security and in providing the role of the Security Council. So we do not see that there is any problem with giving these countries the veto power. And then we see another argument brought out by the opposing side about how too many cooks spoil the soup. and about how too many vetoes will spoil a resolution. Now you see, this is not what really happens. They conveniently showed us all the bad points of the veto, of how various wars did go bad, but we also showed the Cuban Missile Crisis where the veto power was used for a good thing, where the war was prevented. So we see a good and bad in it, but what we are saying is when there is more representation of all the ideologies in the world in the veto power arena, the bad things that happen will not happen anymore, because when resolutions are made, when ideologies are shared, all these ideologies, the whole world's ideologies rather, will be taken into account. Thank you.
As my dear brother said that we should increase the number of permanent membership in the permanent seats, I strongly oppose that idea. We should not give the chance to countries like South Africa, Brazil, Japan, Germany and India, because the economic stability will be lost, and if the number of members increase, the veto power also will be increased, and that will cause a major calamity and crisis.
Madam, you stated in your speech that the economic stability will be lost. We would like to know how that would happen.
Because there can be disputes among the parties and also, but why should we take a country like India to the permanent seat? Because they have supported the terrorists, and they have, at the wartime, they have supported the wives of the terrorists by providing various aids, as well as Brazil. When we talk about the Brazil also are responsible for drug trafficking and underworld activities going on. So, do you think that they should be taken into the permanent membership group?
Madam, do you understand that there are also drug trafficking and all that happening in Russia a lot, to the mafia and all that? So, is Russia in any way penalized because of that?
No, that was not I'm going to say about that. Russia is there because it has international connections, economic connections within the stable states. So they are superpowered, and it should be they are in the permanent membership countries, as well as the USA suggests that they should take India as a member to the permanent membership. But I strongly oppose that, because both countries possess nuclear energy. So if India is taken, it would cause a lot of calamity and disaster in the.
On that point, Madam, do you understand that most of the P5 countries do have nuclear powers? Are you going to penalize them because of that?
No, but India and USA has the power. So that was I'm going to talk about, and as well as giving positions. You know, if the veto power increases, the veto power is used as a tool in the council, as well as India has in the nuclear proliferation ground. When the UK, US and France, Britain, they all strongly opposes the idea that India should be taken to the permanent membership group, because they have not signed the nuclear non-proliferation treaty. So I think it should not the membership should not be given to countries like that. This is why we should keep the permanent countries as it is. Let it be the lucky five. And I mean LTT, because of the support given by India to the LTT, I think we should not take these countries to the permanent membership group, as well as it can cause disasters and other.
With the conclusion of round 2, we're ready to move into a very short commercial break. But before that, there was indeed a slight discrepancy in the part of the rules where one member from one of the teams were repeated in 2 rounds, whereas the rule is that at the end of this segment, all the members of each of the teams should have spoken at least once, and the judges will take this issue into consideration when marking the teams. However, we will leave time for both the teams to gather their forces, to collect their facts and to come back stronger than before. We're ready to take a commercial break, but we'll be back with the rapid fire round.